Yes. Hi, I would like to welcome you all to our very first A conversation for the youth, by the youth. And our topic today will be leadership. So I hope that you guys are blessed abundantly, that you guys are open, your minds are opened up to different perspectives, and that we're able to have a conversation that brightens up the title of leadership. So thank you again. And now we're going to have our opening prayer with David Alexander.
Bow your heads and close your eyes, everybody. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day, God. I thank you for bringing us along like a big family, God. I thank you for, making everybody come to church. You know what I'm saying, God? We all love you. In the name of Jesus, I pray, amen.
Thank you, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie. I'll be your host tonight for the Conversation by the Youth for the Youth program. So I am the person that's going to be introducing the good stuff, right? We're going to have some good conversations. We want everyone to engage. So we're going to have groups go up. So the first group that we're going to have come up is our leaders from the past. So we're going to have a blast from the past. And they're going to talk about leadership. And if you have questions, you can raise your hands. I'll come to you and engage with them after they give their 2 cents and, poke their brains and see what they're thinking. All right, so we're going to get the first group up here, blast from the past. You may come up.
She's coming.
So we want to start first.
Ladies first.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. My name is Regine. Mon nom est Regine. Moi, relais Regine. Et par moi, dem l'âge moins tout. Faut me l'âge moins? Let me see. 4 plus 4, ça fait combien? 4 plus 4 is what? So that's my age. Yes, my ministry focus. I have been, let me start first. Children's section. Yes, children's section. So that's mean I have a lot of my babies here and plus. Then I was the director of the Adventurers. That was years ago. 2 terms as Adventurers directors. The only group that I didn't want to touch was the Pathfinders. But I still love them though, because guess what? They were the group that's come into the youth, and I was the director for the youth, 2 terms also. Yes, that's been a long, right? Long time with you guys. My responsibility was, as director, it was a lot. First responsibility was for me the religious part, because that was the most important for me. Then the communication between the youth. The last group that I have, compared to the group that I had previously, was not the same. So the first group, on my first term, I made a lot of mistakes. Why? I can say that I made a mistake because that generation and my generation was not the same. The way that I grew up back in Haiti and the way you guys or they were up in here, it is not the same. Old school That was me. I'm still the same, but I adjust. With times, I did adjust. By the time I reached to my last group, my baby's up in here, it was a total change. Total change. That I was like their mother, their father, their nurse, doctors, therapists, because at that time when whoever was going through with their difficulties or whatever the issue that they were going through, I was supposed to be there. If they called me at midnight because somebody was at the hospital, yes, I was there. So therefore, the director hat that I had at the time, it was a lot. Not just come and then direct them and then I go and leave home and go home and then that's it for me. No, it was not, because the parents, what I like with the parent also, the fact that they trusted me. So if something was supposed to be done and I was not gonna be there, they weren't gonna let the kids to attend, because they said no. They wanna make sure the kids were safe. My earliest memory within, as a leader, whether the youth or the adventurers, even the Pathfinder, because when we go into camp, I was also there. Whatever activities that they were doing, I was there also. It's the fact that everybody trusted me. Yes, sometimes we clash. You know, young people and Gamun is not the same thing. We don't see eye to eye, but we still work together. Because if I scream after one of them, and trust me, the minute after, so yes, and that's my job for me to make sure that they have something to eat. Negative about I don't see negativity when you're being a leader. I take them, because sometimes, yes, you get cursed. You get cursed. They curse you, yes. But I don't take that, because I try to put myself in their shoes, especially because you don't know what they're going through during this week or at home. And for me to take that personally, I don't take that personally, so I don't see really negativity being a leader. I guess I'm gonna give the mic to my dear friend right there next to me.
Hi, everybody know me, pretty much. My name is Kasley Sherry. Hi.
Hi, Kasley.
I was born and raised in Haiti, and when I was born and raised in Haiti, I was born and raised in a Catholic environment. My mom, my dad, grandma, everybody was Catholic. So I went to school where I did my first communion and everything. So when I came here in United States, funny thing, that was the first time I stepped up in a different church. First time I stepped up in an Adventist church. First time I decided to come to church on a different day than Sunday. And you will not believe that the first thing that attracted my attention, that was the youth. And because of the youth, that's why I'm here today. Because as soon as I walked into that church, I remember that it was a fourth Sabbath of the month. I don't remember which month was it. But I know it was the fourth Sabbath of the month because that's when it was Youth Day. And when I heard the drum corps and everything, and I said, man, that's interesting. Look at how many youth. And that's when I started to realize that, wait a minute, like, that's kind of like, okay, where I kind of belong. And at first, you will not believe that again, I used to argue, big argument with my uncle for coming to church. Like, I would not come to church because I never used to come to church on Saturday. Saturday, that's the day that we do everything that we need to do, clean, stuff like that. So I don't do nothing else than do activities. So on Sunday, that's when I used to go to church. And my uncle said, no, you in my house, you coming to church that Saturday. And I said, no. We were making a big fight where you had to call my dad back in Haiti and everything. But funny thing, as soon as I step up, the same day that I had the fight with him, the same day that I step up in that church, then I had a feeling I belonged to that church since then. And another thing that I remember, as soon as I get baptized, the same day after I got baptized, I was standing right there. One of the leaders passed by, and he said, "You get baptized today, you start to work today." And honestly, he was like a role model to me, and I kind of follow his footsteps. That was Chef Lapierre. As soon as I got baptized, he said that, "Okay, you know what, starting tomorrow, you're gonna work." And I thought he was joking. And funny thing, every time you have a meeting, going to the conference, gonna go there, Cassidy, let's go. And one time they were going to camp, and I remember that I was walking on Avenue N and East 49. I was coming from Oyo's house, and I saw the church van just pull over right there, and they kidnapped me. I'm serious, literally just like that. They were going to my house. I don't know how Lapierre know where I was living, and then like they just pull over right there. I never forgot it. In Avenue N and East 49, they pull over right there, and they grabbed me. They say, "We gotta go." I said, "How I'm gonna go? Because my uncle don't even know if I'm going with you." "Oh, don't worry, we'll take care of that." And eventually he called my uncle. He said, "Okay, you know what? Cass is with me," just like that. And then I went straight to Berkshire, pitch up tent, and since then, all of you can witness that. Okay, every camp I'm always there pitching tent, stuff like that. And I got involved in the youth ministry. I remember I was the secretary at first. One of the years I was the secretary in the youth department, and then I was with Evie. I don't know who remember Evie. Yeah, so.
I guess they don't.
Yes, so.
Vava, remember Evie?
Yes, so.
I see Jessica do this.
So,
know, right?
So that time, I started to get involved in the youth department, and there's a year, I forgot what was the condition, but it was 3 youth directors, and they put me one of the youth directors. It was me, Steve Mom, and Stephanie Mom that time. It was 3 of us as the youth director, and after that, Steve, your husband. So after I become the youth director, after I get involved in the youth director, and I become youth assistant director with, what's his name? Okay, I forgot his name. But after that, I got involved in the Pathfinder department, and since then, I've been involved in the ministry. But my thing is, one of the negativity I can say in the leader is it brings you a lot of stress, but he brought more positive than negative to me, because he helped me to be humble. He bring me closer to God. The reason I say that, because as a leader, while you're going through a lot of stress, while you're dealing with a lot of youth or a lot of young people, trust me, that's the time that you're gonna get closer to God, because you're gonna pray. Because you have to be humble to help them go through whatever they're going through and to lead them to the right direction. So honestly, that really helped me a lot. And because of being humble and be able to stay closer to God and every day, that's where I am here today. Amen. I will let Steve continue.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Blessings. Good morning. Oh, my mask. Good morning, yes.
Stevie's always in the morning area.
All right. Guys, bear with me. Most times when I'm in front of people, I get nervous. I get nervous. I do get nervous. Steve Romaine is the name. What am I answering again? Yeah, my name is Steve. How old am I? I'm 40. If anybody asks you, just tell them I'm 40. Ministry focus / title.
Yes, 40.
Yeah, if anybody asks, just tell them I'm 40.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. Ministry focus / title. I guess over the years, I've never officially had, no, I lie, that's a lie. I've officially had titles like Sabbath school teacher, right? Choir director were titles. Ministry, though, if I could just define ministry based on how I understand it, right? A minister is someone that meets a need, right? So a ministry is something that is meeting the needs of those who are around you, right? So I've kind of been thrown into ministries over the years, right? My mom being active in the church kind of just threw me in front. I sang, I prayed, opened services. Before you know it, I go to conference events and I'm in charge of stuff there as well. Before you know it, they're asking me to direct choirs for conferences and federations. I think I directed the Yaha choir twice, which was interesting. One interesting thing about leadership is, I don't know about everyone else's experiences, but for me, leadership or being put on stage, right, if that's what, can we define leadership? Because I feel like if we don't define it, I'll define it for myself, right? Because I feel like a lot of times leadership is almost synonymous to just holding a position, right? And that's not the case, right? A leader, I think a leader is someone who has a vision for themselves and kind of just lives it out authentically, right? And someone else kind of watches what you do and say, I see what you're doing. And just like that, you get followers, right? Because they see that you're doing something different and they follow, right? So I've been put on stage a lot, right? I've been given responsibilities a lot. But one thing that leadership has done for me, right? It allowed me to hide, right? It allowed me, because maybe you guys don't know this about me, but I'm not very aware of my own self. You know, what I think, how I feel, what I experience. I've just gotten really good at doing these things that I've been kind of placed in charge of over these years, right? So I disappeared underneath, right? I just became this person that everybody thought that I could become. So leadership kind of does that. If you're not careful, it'll give you a space where you can just kind of hide underneath the leadership. You know, you could be suffering. I'm sorry. I don't know your answer. No fighting on stage. Thank you, host. Yeah, it could potentially give you a place to hide, right? People see you on stage and you're praying well and you're singing well and you're speaking well and you look good and it's like, oh, okay, he's fine. Yeah, he's good. You know, but no one really knows, and I'm not even aware of. I'm actually struggling. I'm actually not entirely sure what I believe, right? One more minute, sorry. To the point that, you know, there was a point in my life, maybe a few years ago, that I questioned, am I really a Christian? Do I really believe in God, right? I went through that a few years ago. And no one really knew, you know? Because on the surface, you look calm and ready to drop bombs, right? Poker face, but what's happening underneath? Yeah, so I think it's important for leadership to create space so that others can authentically share in what they're experiencing, right? Because it's that authentic, mutual sharing of our experiences that healing takes place, that chains are broken, that people feel free in their experiences. So I've answered maybe 2 questions, but blessings. I pass it over to Cindy now.
Stole my answer. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, guys. So I'm 31.
Oh,
I wear it well. I know. Thank you.
I thought you were 35.
Adding one, right?
Valerie.
No fighting.
My ministry focus, I would say, would have to be youth. Since I've started with ministry, I was thrown into working with the youth, not specifically the youth department, but working like with Pathfinder, Adventurer. I was an area coordinator, well, I am an area coordinator, and I started at a pretty young age. I was in college, I think. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going on 8 years or 9 years now. Wow. So I started pretty young. And what's my title? I don't think I have a title. I think I'm just I don't know what I would call myself, a youth, young adult leader, I guess. Yeah. All right, so to answer some of the questions, so I'm gonna kind of piggyback on what Steve started. So what are some negatives about being young and in leadership? So for me, when I started, I told you guys I was in college. So at that time, this was when I kind of started getting a little bit of freedom. So like Saturday nights, I want to hang out with my friends, but I'm sitting in comité. And it wasn't an hour comité, it was comités ending at midnight. Then Sunday comes, you know, you Pathfinder leader now. So Sunday comes, you gotta wake up at 9 o'clock you gotta get to church at 9 o'clock in the morning for a Pathfinder. So your whole Saturday is church. Your whole Sunday is church. You go home and now it's to do homework because Monday to Friday you're in school. I felt like I didn't have a life. I felt like ministry was now a job. And at some point, it was like Steve said, you kind of it's like you turn off the internal, because at this point, it's like, I just have to do this, I have this to do, I have this to do, I have this to do, so that's all I'm focused on. When that got taken away, not taken away, but when I left Pathfinder leadership, I felt like at that point, I was like, so now what do I do? I got my life back, right? But I kind of felt like I didn't belong in church. Like, I didn't feel like a need to be in church anymore, because what was keeping me in church was my title, was what my job. But is it a job? No, right? It's a ministry. So that, I guess I'm answering both negative and positive of leadership. The positive, you're in church, you form connections, you're doing stuff for the young people, like, yeah. But the negative is, for me, I feel like we get lost in the actual job and we forget about ourselves and our growth with Christ, because we're focused more on, let me make sure this person's reading her Bible and she's doing her Pathfinder book, but am I reading my Bible? Am I doing my Pathfinder book? No. So now Pathfinder's done, and I kind of feel lost. There was a point I felt like, am I a Christian? What does being a Christian mean? And I got lost, too. So I guess for my advice to the up-and-coming youth and youth leaders, being a youth leader is great. Yes, it keeps us in church. It keeps us grounded. It gives us things to do. It makes us feel like we belong here. But at the same time, you have to make sure your spiritual walk with Christ is the first and most important thing. Ministry comes after that. If you are not personally right with Christ, once ministry is gone, because it can be gone, it can get taken away anytime, where you at with Christ? So that's my advice to the up-and-coming youth leaders, and I'm gonna end it there.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Can we get a round of applause for this group? Oh my gosh. Eloquent. Okay, does anyone in the audience have any question for them? All right, we have some, okay, I'm sorry, I saw her hands first. So we're going to go to this beautiful young lady here.
Hi, guys. So this question is to whoever wants to answer. So do you think the church prepares you to be a leader? And why do you think the youth of the church avoid leadership positions?
I would say for the second question. Oh, sorry. Ladies first. Ladies first. Go ahead.
No fighting, no fighting.
Okay. I would say for the second question, I think naturally, and this isn't necessarily a function of what the church is doing or isn't doing, but naturally, standing up in front of people is scary, right? It's a scary thing. And it's not, I want to emphasize that it's the natural experience of standing up. So if you feel afraid of standing, it's okay. You're supposed to, right? To get up in front of people and do anything should be scary. So for the second question, young people don't necessarily want to do leadership because it's scary, right? But for the first question, I think leadership for so long has been connected to a position that you're not a real leader yet unless you've been labeled with a title by the institution. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's almost to the point where you could be kind of in the youth department or helping out with the young people, but you're still considered a Timun Piti, you know, in our specific sphere in this Franco-Haitian SDA culture, right? I think the church could do a lot better at helping youth understand the idea of personal leadership, right? Because if you have an idea of leading yourself, then you can have a better idea of leading somebody else, right? Whether you have a title or not, right? And I want to emphasize that. You don't need a title to be considered a leader. It's not important. You'll actually find there are some people in this room who were leaders before they were given a title, right? And not because, you know, let me insert some Jesus, just real quick. And can we do that? Insert some Jesus. So, as important as it is that, always insert Jesus, right? As important as it is that you recognize personal leadership, even if you don't really know what leadership is, even if you feel like you're a horrible leader or whatever the case may be, God has a way of using you in spite of you. While you figure out how to be a leader, you're probably stumbling in the process, but you have no idea how many other people are looking at you do what you do, and it's blessing them, and it's encouraging them, and it's motivating them, and you just doing something. You don't even think you leading, you don't even think you doing anything serious. You just kind of walking through the mud here, but it blesses somebody else. So yeah, could the church do more? Absolutely. But I think God is always doing something. We all have our own individual stories of how we get to leadership. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
We have Jess here. Oh. All right. So I think that's going to end the segment. Thank you, past. Blast from the past. Now I'm going to, you guys can carry on. Yeah. Thank you guys. Great. And remember, I'm here to introduce the good stuff, right? So the next group we have is the present leaders. Are the present leaders. Present leaders, past, you gotta go. You're the past. Bye. Present. Hey, present, where are you? It's your time to shine. Give them a round of applause. So guys, if you have questions, we're trying to make the QA after each group a little, not too long. So be ready to raise your hands and I'll run to you guys, all right?
Good afternoon, everyone, or good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica. I am currently the Pathfinder Director. I'm 27. Well, I'm 26. I turned 27. But I'm currently the Pathfinder Director at French Gethsemane. I kind of went up the slopes. I was secretary, then I became assistant director, then I became director. I'm laughing because I didn't expect that I was going to be the first one to go, but here we are. To answer Rafaela's question, actually, that's why I said I wasn't going to answer, because I was going to answer now. I think that leadership but it is also technically a spiritual gift, right? So the church can only train you up till a certain point. Your parents can kind of train you up until a certain point. It's your responsibility to do your due diligence. And that's what I tell the kids all the time. I tell them, I cannot force you to be here. It's either you're going to be here and be present, or you're not. You're just going to be a body in the movement of the water. If you get lost at a certain point, that's no longer your parents' fault. That is on you and your conscience and you and your relationship with Christ. Because like, our parents can only do so much. You know, they work, they feed us, they talk to us, they motivate us, they try. It's up to you to whether you're going to do it or you're not. And it's the same thing with church. It's either you're going to do it, you're going to lead, or you're not. It's either you're going to complain on the sidelines, or you're going to change it. You're going to do things to motivate others to be different, to change it. And I think that it also depends on your current leaders at the time. Right? So if you're in a church structure where you kind of feel like you're not important, it's kind of hard to lead if you feel like you're already less than. But if you're in a church structure where they push you, it's up to you to either take the pushing as negativity or take it as positivity and what you're going to do with it. I kind of view leadership I run my leadership as a legacy, right? After me, I want people to say, Jessica was here, she's not here any longer. This is what I produce. This is what I can do for my community or my SDA community. Yeah, like literally my leadership is built on transparency and honesty at all times. Just because if I'm not honest with myself, I feel like my leadership won't be authentic. If I don't question myself, when I question my I call them my kids, but my youth, I kind of feel like a hypocrite, right? So if I'm asking you, did you read your Bible? And I know I didn't read my Bible. I have to, at some point, go back home and rectify that, ask myself those questions, because it just seems, lack for a better word, it just seems like a repetitive cycle, because we've seen that in the past. So what can I do? What can Jessica do to be a difference? What can Jessica do for her leadership to actually implant people who will stay here and do better than I did or the people before me did? And that's kind of how I view my leadership once again. That answers the what makes you run your leadership, or how do you run your leadership? I run it on authenticity and just knowing that there's a legacy up and coming behind me. I think of the bigger picture, not the smaller picture. Yes, it's stressful. I was just over here talking to myself, but it's more than just me, right? I don't run me, God runs me. God controls me. God is the reason why this event is happening. God is the reason why we're alive here today. So my leadership is one that was purposed by God, right? Used by God. It's fully, this person you see here is fully a vessel, purposed only, specifically, designated, designed. Any word that you want to say to describe me, just know it's God. It's literally just God. My ministry, God. My leadership, God. Any mistakes I've made in the past, God, right? Any progressions that I've made in the future or currently, God. Literally. Everything is just God for me. So, I mean, that's all I have. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so good afternoon. It is afternoon, yes. My name is Pierre Polycarp, but most of you guys have known me by Junior, so we're just going to go ahead and stick with Junior, okay? Good. I am a member of the Peniel French SDA, right? So over the years, over the last decade, I would say, I've played several roles, right, within, being a member of Peniel, right? So it pretty much just started off as a staff member of the Pathfinder and Adventurer Club, right, under the leadership of Jephthah and his wife, but don't remember her name, so we'll pass on, right? And from there, I've played the assistant Pathfinder role, right? Assistant Pathfinder director, assistant youth director, right? To my current role, which is now the Pathfinder director, and also the director of sound communication technology. So over the years, I've played some, different hats. And the weird part about it is most of those roles, right? I had already started doing the work way before the title even come in. Just to piggyback to what Steve had said earlier, right? It doesn't require a title, right, for you to actually do the work. And most organization, the way it works, they have to see, in most cases, they have to see the attribute, that quality in you. They have to be able to see you doing the work in addition to your regular job, right, to see if that's something you can handle. No one is going to entrust you with more responsibility, right, if you're just doing the bare minimum, right? So just to piggyback. What are some of the responsibility you were tasked with? So with my two current role, being being the director of the Pathfinder and being the director of the technology department, with Pathfinders, most of you guys, I see there's some Pathfinders in here, you know what the work requires, right? Requires a lot of devotion, and working with the young people, making sure that they're staying on the right track, to help them make better decisions, right, as they get older. But most important is just preparing them, right, for God. But also when it comes to the technology department, if I had to, that's my preference, right? Technology is my passion. For the most part, even on my days off, which my significant other would probably say I don't normally take, times off, right? But technology is my passion. Usually, when it comes to that particular field, all I ever want for the youth or the ones that are actually interested in that field is just to leverage the power of technology, right? Just so that they could continue to preach the gospel. I feel like there's so much more, over the years, time has changed, right? The way that folks used to minister, 10, 20 years ago, those methods are almost obsolete, right? If you really think about it, and you have to constantly think of new strategy, new ways of, thinking, just so that you can reach the folks that are, thousands and thousands of miles away. So when it comes to technology, that's a huge passion of mine, whether it's through streaming, whether it's learning technology itself, and helping the church to stay ahead of the game, because technology is forever moving, and almost, every 6 months or now, if you purchase a new device, 3, 4, 5 months from now, it's already outdated, right? So this is where I come in, right, for my church. What are some of the earliest memory within leadership role? So for me, I didn't always think about, leadership wasn't always a choice of mine, right? In fact, when my early days in college, when I had to pick a career, I ended up picking system administrator. This is simply because it didn't require you to be, it wasn't no front-facing customer, right? It was more of a, back end where you didn't really have to interact with people more. But over the years, I've met some amazing people, in my life. Some were 7 days, and for the most part, the others weren't. And over the years, they're inspired me to, to take that path. And I recall working closely with my sister, where at some point, the decision had come up with whether or not leadership was going to to be the next step, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did because like Steve said, being a leader or being put in a leading position is not always easy. Folks are always constantly looking for you to make a decision, looking for you to make the best decision. And at times, you may think that you're making the right decisions, and at times, it's just not the right decision. But I'm glad I did, and I've learned a lot over the years, and I'm constantly learning. And if I had to say what are some of the negative things about being in a in a leadership position, I will definitely say sometimes as young people, especially in the Franco-Haitian ministry, sometimes they put you in certain position, and you think that you're actually going to be a leader, but a lot of times they're just expecting you to sit there and take commands, and it's almost, well, why did you put me in the leader position if you wanted me to lead? Are you expecting me to lead, or are you expecting me to sit there and do exactly what you want me to do? So I think this is one thing that, as youth, with the future generation, you're going to encounter a lot, right? Sometimes they will throw this title at you, right? And with the, expectation that, no, we pretty much just need someone to listen and to take orders and pass on. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
That was great. So guys, I am the timekeeper. So when y'all see me up here, like, wrapping it up, listen to me, please. Thank you for that. We're going to have Christopher next. I like this group. It's from different churches. I'm ready for y'all. I can't wait to ask y'all questions.
Okay. All right. How you guys doing today? All right, perfect. So my name is Christopher. I go to here, Friends Gethsemane, born and raised, grew up here. I've been working in church since I was 9, funny enough. Since 9 years old, it's been 15 years of working in church. I'm 23 now, 2024, actually, in 2 weeks. So, thank you. The way I've worked in a couple of different ministries in the church. Secretary, communications. I'm an honorary Jack too. I don't know if Sebianem is here. Yeah, I'm an honorary Jack. Honorary. Il dit qu'il me travaille en pile, so il tout mettem Jack. Pasteur avec premier ancien pour au courant, mais Jack déjà. So, but yeah, these are all the different parts of ministry that I worked in. But the one that I spent the longest in, that is, as well as junior, my heart is tech. That since I'm 9, I've been in. The way I started, funny enough, was the church had a problem where they wanted to stream services or record the services, and decided to do it in-house. And there was nobody really at the time that they wanted to really trust or do, because of the fact that everybody was elder at the time. So they took a group of us. It was me, Kenny, Fabrice, Elise, if he's listening, Dimitri Counta, and if I'm missing anyone, I apologize. But it was a few of us chosen by the church, and chosen by the church administration so many years ago. And it started from me being a little kid doing camera to now running an entire department and also Radio Gethsemane. So if there's anything I could tell you guys have to have pride in your church and have pride in what you're doing. That's the biggest thing I could tell you guys after all these years. Like, I'm a prideful Getty member. I do anything for my church, unfortunately. But I'm a prideful Getty member. And as well, I believe in everything that I do for my church because I know it's going to be good in the long run. The radio was a little idea I had as a kid. And look at it now, it's 5 years in. So whatever that you guys have, if it's something that you guys are doing for the Lord, do it with all of you. If you're investing, all of you in church. If it's, si c'est balé ou balé, do it with all you, no matter what anybody says. Last question, I guess my time is almost up, right? Some of the stuff that you could do. 2 minutes, perfect. All right. I'm going to use the 2 minutes to give you one last quick piece of advice, and then after that, I'm going to pass the mic. That's good? All right. So, in church, guys, you're dealing with 100 million different personalities. You're dealing with 100 million different personalities. The finesse is knowing that no matter what, it's dealing with everyone. So if at the end of the day, like this brother acts away, this sister acts away, to keep the peace, because you're knowing that for church and everything, it's just knowing that going this way or that way is going to be the best for you. Because you know everybody is different. And everybody that you're going to deal with is going to give you either a different way, a different response. It's just knowing that in the back of your head that you're in a place where everybody has their own problem. Everybody's going through something, is figuring it out with church. Because if not, every time when it comes to working in ministry, working in leadership, every time a brother or sister or something within the church administration, comite, they didn't agree or something, every time that happens, you're going to get mad. But here's the second thing I want to tell you guys. You know, it's the funny thing? We're all like-minded people fighting for the same thing, but different ways.
Bars.
Literally.
Bars.
For all those that sit in comite, comite is literally 20 people sitting together, disagreeing on one thing. But the one thing that reunites everybody is the fact that we have a common goal, is to advance our church. So the minute that you keep this in mind, that no matter what position that you are in the church, that you know that, okay, first person, before I even get into the church, is God that I'm glorifying, and the second one I'm representing in my church, and the third is myself. Keep it pushing. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So at the end of the day, be mindful, be innovative, and be mindful of everyone that you deal with. So that's it.
Good job, right on time.
So my name is Elise, and I'm a member of Jerusalem SDA, not too far from here, and I'm the AY Director, Youth Leader over there. One thing I would like to start off with off the bat is that there is at least one similarity or like one common denominator I'd say here, is that almost everyone that's been on this panel and the panel before can say they were active in church in like one way or another before they became leaders. So there's that aspect, like that's a common denominator, I'd say. And for me, it was like going on stage when I was a kid, scripture reading, whatever it was. And then it became being a deacon at 14, and then becoming ordained at 19. And to be honest, like, yeah, I took those positions, but there was like that, I didn't do it too much for me as much as I didn't want to disappoint church people. I didn't want to disappoint my mom. So there's like, and that's to, be honest and transparent. And like, as I was doing those things along the way, for me at least, it made me not want to be in a leadership role because I'm always at the forefront. And it can get like really, I won't say depressing, but become a drag when you're always at the forefront and it's like, you. Not saying that I don't feel like, God has blessed me because of it, but it's like, sometimes you don't want to feel like you're always up front. And then when you're transitioning into a role of leadership, it's like, yeah, you're definitely up front now. Like you're already up, I was already up front 10 times out of 10, and now it's like on steroids. So there's that aspect of it, at least for me, because I've always been at the forefront and in some kind of role. But there was a question that, I forgot her name, I forgot your name. Rafaela asked, which was, why don't youth, or why are they afraid of leadership? And I think that it's, one, like Steve said, it's because most people have a fear of like, public speaking and whatnot. And honestly, that fear for me kind of disappeared because of how often I was going on stage as a kid. So like, because of that, it made it like kind of tolerable to just be on stage often. Like I'd be called up Saturday mornings and ask me, can you read the scripture in French? Like on the spot, and I'd be able to do it. But I think one of the reasons why it's, a lot of young people shy away is because if it was just having to deal with your youth, your peers, most young people wouldn't mind it. But not only are you dealing with your peers, but you are dealing with the adults who, whether they're putting pressure on you, have high expectations, they're just looking to you so that like you can be this like bright hope for them amongst the youth. It adds another level of just another level of it to leadership. So if you're just dealing with your peers, you'd be able to just communicate with them easily. But then there's the aspect of committee, and sometimes feeling like, hey, it's just me and two other young people in here, and we're outnumbered by all these adults, so our voice may not really matter in here. Now, if our voices don't matter in here, it's like, why am I even in here? Like, yeah, I want to get my, goals and ideas and visions pushed, but if, I can't really speak on a lot of topics that I want to, then, like, what am I really doing here? So that's one reason I feel like young people don't kind of shy away from leadership. It's not that they're scared of it, but it's if they were only dealing with young people, they'd be more open to it. And another thing that I wanted to answer was the epidemic of youth leaving the church. As SDAs, I feel like we think that it's only an SDA thing. And that is the biggest misconception that we need to break, especially within the Haitian community. We feel like, it's only our churches losing youth, and it's only, we got to find all these, find ways to keep them. It's across every denomination, across every religion at that too. And that's important for us to keep in mind, because by making it just us thing, we make it so we seclude ourselves from everyone else who's dealing with the issues. And in that way, we kind of hinder ourselves from trying to connect with other people who are coming up with new ideas, coming up with, who have visions, who have goals that could help render a solution to that problem of youth leaving the church. And one thing that is crucial in that is transparency and honesty. So for me, I've been in this phase where I've been watching a lot of videos Christian videos, but they're not like SDA stuff. So like, for example, Jude 3 Project on YouTube, really great. They have like panels like these of adults talking about Bible-related topics. And for me, it's to challenge what I know about Christianity as an SDA. And one thing that comes up in a lot of the videos that I've watched, especially when the youth are talking, is that when they ask questions, they get like cliche answers, or they get the wrong information, or people are afraid to say, I don't know. And that's one thing that I feel drives the youth away. Because if you can't tell them that you don't know the answer, you're going to come back with the right answer. When they find out that you didn't give them the right answer, it's just going to push them away, and they're going to go looking for answers elsewhere. So it's important in your process of being a leader to be transparent and to be honest. And that's where I want to end things.
Next. So my name is Kenny, and for me, I have been a leader for a very, very, very long time. I am 26, and I believe ever since that I was probably 13, 14, I was being placed in position of leadership. For me personally, I love to work without a title, and there are multiple of reasons why I think personally, I don't think it's quite suit me personally, and I think it's best because then you have no attachment in a way I can say I can just do what I need to do and then keep it pushing. I'm not going to keep you guys long, but I'm just going to share one thing that kind of stuck with me from the moment I came to Gethsemane. And probably Chris may know what I'm going to say, and I'm going to close. I remember at the time there were a few of our leaders at the time that was at Gethsemane, and then it was me, again, Fabrice, Chris, within the sound room. And then Divini dit, Monsieur, où est nous l'église là, je dis là, moi pas là, mais demain c'est nous-mêmes qui va diriger. Make sure that you guys always work as a team. And then ironically, now whatever Chris is doing, you better believe I'm gonna get a say in it. Whatever I'm doing, you better believe Chris is going to have a say in it. So it's that mentality. It stuck with me from the time that we grew up. And then I always ask myself, why? And then il dit, raison qui fait me dire nous ça, c'est parce que I don't want you guys to always forget the main goal is Gethsemane first, community second. And I guess with us, at least for me and the so-called Haitian, since that's what we used to be called, I guess for us, this kind of mentality and pride drive us with everything that we're doing. Gethsemane first and Haitian community. Maybe the previous leadership, they saw the world or the church in a way. Obviously, we've adapted our own views, we modify it. But at the end of the day, it's always been Gethsemane first, community second. And for me, and this is in my role now currently, I've been preaching the same message, whether it was through Steve's generation, the Jessica generation, and my generation. No. Yeah. No, I've said it, but no, it is. No, because if no, I am not that old. Yes. So because when I first got into Gethsemane, it was literally there was like a divide where the Haitian youth, the Haitian, and then the American youth. But us, the so-called Haitian, our mentality was like, hey, guess what? You guys can do your thing. Gethsemane. So, but them, I guess that's one thing that I've always think all the previous leaders is that they were spot on to like pour out their own belief, their own philosophy into the younger kids. And I myself, I do the same thing, I'm currently speaking. And I remember, for example, your age group, Cindy, one thing that I myself, I felt like you guys did, and a lot of times I would observe you guys, watch our behavior. And you guys know I'm very, very, very observant. I can tell you yesterday what you did, what you wore. It is to the T I am. And I would see certain transition, and then one thing that really, I guess, pushed me to even say, you know what? There must be a change the way that we operate. And I'll never forget this. We were going to have an event at Gethsemane, and then out of curiosity, because I'm very curious to know what is this, what is that. And then pendant ma passé dans hallway, and then something just told me, Kenny, why don't you just open the door? I'm like, no. No, I'm not doing that. Something told me, Kenny, open the door. I remember I passed to go to the sound room. Something told me, Kenny, go back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going back. So pendant m'ouvrir porte là, I saw the leader at that time said, it's like literally convincing the young people to be like, why don't you guys want to say? And the thing that really bothered me at that time is just like, those group of people said, well, nous pas là, nous prends l'autre côté, we're going to go to this at another church. Après me dit, so, on va quitter l'église ou? Hein? C'est pour l'église côté qu'on capable dire c'est pour moun pa ou pour prendre propre source pa, you bring it someplace else, and then l'église va struggle. And from there, I've had this burning desires within myself. I said, you know what? This must change. And then I started, literally at that time, started observing you guys even more at that time. And I remember, it is. No, because since we were having conversation, and then I'm going to tell you guys literally what I observed. And then from there, after I've made careful conversation, I'm in observation, and all the time I often run stuff by Chris, Fano, and Andy. I'd be like, yo, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then from your group, Cindy, I said, you know what? I'm going to target 5 of you guys. Literally. I told myself I'm going to, I'm not lying. I'm literally telling the truth. I said I'm going to target 5 you guys. And then from there, I've gained 3 I lost 2, which Steve, Cindy, and Valerie. So from jump, at that time, my goal was to keep you guys in the church. And the reason why I felt that, it's because at that time I felt like the narrative from your group, you guys always used to say, you know what, once you're 18, you live in Gethsemane, you live in Gethsemane, you live in Gethsemane. But yeah, 5, always, even though you're saying yeah, we're leaving, but I've always felt based on conversation that you guys, yes, Gethsemane is not there, but we still appreciate Gethsemane. So I said, you know what, I'm going to target you guys. And that's why, if you guys remember before, the message, what was the message all the time? Stay at Gethsemane. Stay at Gethsemane. Stay at Gethsemane. Stay at Gethsemane. So, done? So I guess I'm done.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mitsuka Atis. I'm 25 years old, and I'm the youth leader here at Getty. So we were just supposed to answer like 4 different questions. So one of the things that I chose to speak about, so first of all, the way that I got thrown into ministry, which is what I always say, I was never the kind of person who sought out ministry. In fact, I always wanted to kind of like stay out of it. Even with my own personal ministry of singing, my grandma kind of like forced me to start singing. I didn't want to. So I feel like everything that I've done since in ministry, it's always been because somebody else pushed me into it, either because they felt I had potential or whatever it was, but I was always the kind that was like running away from it. Even with this position, Jess will tell you, I was like, excuse me, who? They're trying to get who to be youth director? Because I truly didn't want to take it, and I felt a bit disconnected from the church for a long time. I want to say since I was about like 13 or 14, I was completely disconnected from the church, and I started like doing ministry, but it was at other churches, to the point where people would be coming to me and didn't even know I was a member of Getty. People would tell me I was a member of every other church except Gethsemane, because nobody would barely see me here, and I would just be using my gifts in other places. So a lot of people had to talk to me for me to even decide to stay planted here. And since then, it's been a difficult thing for me to just remain planted. And that's one of the lessons I've learned. I guess by remaining planted, there's always a fruit that comes of it. But one of the questions that I wanted to answer was, what have I learned from previous and present leaders? And the biggest thing that I've learned is that you may have a passion to do something, or a passion to do an event, or whatever it is, to change something, but every single church has its own culture, and you can't always just go about it the way you want to go about it, and there's certain steps to follow. And being somebody who's very passionate, usually I want to do something and I kind of want it to be done right away, or I want for people to get the picture that I see in my mind. And I've realized that because each church has their own culture, I don't want to say that there's a political way to go about it, or you have to be diplomatic about the way you go about it, but there's definitely certain steps that you have to take in each church that you're in, and in every single, department that you're in. There's certain steps that you have to go through to get what you want. To do what you want to do. And oftentimes it's the long game you have to play. If you can't do it now, if you want to get to step C, you got to do A and B, even though you don't feel like doing it, just so that you could do what you really want to do. So that's one thing that I've learned from present leaders. In fact, I've seen that from Regine. Regine knows how to play the politics real well. And I've seen how she she knows how to get what she wants by playing by the rules. And oftentimes that's the way to go about it. The other question that I wanted to answer is, what's my thoughts as a leader on the epidemic of the youth leaving the church? I feel like I can speak on this because I know that I have felt this, and I have left the church, not the church many times. I've left this church many times. And oftentimes it's because I felt, like Kenny mentioned, it's because, you know, either your needs weren't being met, even though like I speak Creole, I speak French, I understand what's being preached here. A lot of the times I felt as though we weren't in tune with the youth in terms of like their personal lives. Like we expected the youth to come here and just paint this different picture of themselves and kind of put this mask on when they came to church. And once they went out there, you don't know what's going on with their lives. Like I was born, raised, christened in this church, but most people probably don't even know my age. They don't know what I do. Ask them when my birthday is, they won't be able to tell you. And I always felt like that there was some disconnect. But, you know. So I always felt that there was some disconnect. So my thoughts about it generally, I don't want to say that I have the perfect solutions, but I know that one way to start is having a relationship with the youth. And oftentimes the way to do it is having a relationship one-on-one, because oftentimes you can impact somebody on a personal level, and then that can like create, you know, it'll trickle down to other people. So those are my general thoughts, and I think that that's the way to start fixing the issue. How has church hindered or helped my progress with ministry? I think one of the biggest things that church has given me, and for a long time I felt like as though church could not give anything, but no, I really felt like it couldn't really offer anything, but I truly felt as though church has given me a community, and it's given me the ability to trust other people to work with them. I'm usually a person, I work really well on my own. It's not that I don't like collaboration, but I feel like if I know how I want something to be done, I'd rather get the thing done on my own rather than asking other people for help. And through being a youth leader, and I've seen Jess do this and other people do this, I've kind of been forced to kind of like ask people for help, ask people for their thoughts, which is not something that I was accustomed to doing prior. So I think that church has definitely allowed me to rely on community more. It's allowed me to begin to trust other people more. There's still like a long way to go with that, but generally I think that that's how it's helped me, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. As far as whether I'll stay in ministry, I don't know. I usually get thrown into it, so I'm pretty sure whatever other ministry position I hold, I'm gonna get thrown into it too. If it was my choice, I wouldn't, but I keep realizing that God kind of drags me back and calls me to it. So as long as he calls, I'll answer, but as far as choosing it myself, no.
Woo! What a whirlwind. So this is a time for question and answers from the audience. We have a great group here from different churches. I got questions for them, but I'm gonna let you guys go first. Anyone has a question, raise your hand, I'll come to you. Oh, Raphael, I saw your hands first. And then Ornella.
Hi guys, I got another question. So it's for anyone. Do you think you receive the support that you need from the church in regards to your ministry?
Jessica here again. It really depends, right? Because when we think of leadership, we think of the title. Then when we think of the title, we think of adults not supporting the youth. But the truth of the matter is, guys, sometimes the youth don't support the youth. If I'm being quite honest, sometimes the youth really do not support the youth. We can blame the adults all we want. We can blame the church structure all we want. But the truth is, we do not support each other whatsoever. And the thing that grinds my gears is if Junior sees me struggling, we grew up together, you see me struggling, you hear me struggling, you leave me struggling. That grinds, that grinds my gears, because it's like, I am your brother. I'm not a male, but if I was a male, I'm your brother, I'm a female, so I'm your sister. Why are you leaving me out there to struggle, especially if I trusted you enough to tell you my struggle? You know what I mean? That's the depth of it. It makes me, not to say that it makes me struggle spiritually, but I have to at some point ask God, why? Why would you put this individual in my life? I'm complaining to them, but they're still not supporting. That's really what grinds my gears. And we can complain. I'm telling you, we can complain about the church all we want to. But if I'm telling you, I tell my kids this all the time. I keep saying my kids. But I tell the youth this all the time. If I'm telling you, it's because I know, I understand the struggle. I'm not being mean because I want to be mean. I'm being mean because I'm telling you. Li pas douce, no? Ministry pas douce. It's not. It's not sweet. It's not sweet. And if we continue to complain, and we're not active in changing, you are going to get the same thing year after year after year after year. And guess whose fault it's going to be? It's not the churches. It's not the past or the present leaders. It's yours. It's yours. It's yours. That is the reality. We are not living in a time where you can continuously blame the church, continuously blame the past, We're not living in a time where you can continuously blame your parents. It is time to work on healing, move forward, and change. Okay? It's time to change, right? And I don't want to take up all the time, but literally, it is time to change. It's time to wake up. We not sleeping no more. I'm going to complain. My church sucks. I ain't going no more. Then when you go the next Saturday, my church still sucks. Sweetie, you keep leaving. Who's going to change it? Once somebody tells you no, you automatically, I get upset too. I don't want to hear no. I hate rejection. Pastor Eddie could tell you, I hate rejection, right? But sometimes you need to hear no because that needs to motivate you to do better. And sometimes you are going to sit back and be sad. But you have to know as a leader, and trust me, leadership does not equate to a title. Because after Pathfinder Director, I'm still going to be a leader, right? In the name, right, of Jesus. He is still going to use me as a vessel, right? I don't need a title. Right? You see me, you see God. At some point, anybody who's known me as a child, you know I'm a 360. This is a completely different person. So you see me, you will see God. I don't need a title. Leadership does not equate to titleship. Sorry, baby love. Leadership does not equate to I have a title, so I'm going to lead. No. This is a special talent that God gives everybody, and everybody in the church. Everybody in church has a specific talent to make the body work, right? Ornella is here. Ornella has a gift I don't. I have to be able. I'm not sure. I have to be able to be okay with that, right? Because I'm not going to be Pathfinder Director again. I have to put in my mind that the title is not who I am. And the people coming after me will be better than me, right? Because they have different things and different perspectives that we didn't have. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
So the question was, do we feel like we get support, right? Are we talking about at this church specifically or in our ministry? Okay, so with being youth director, I feel like the youth is something that people focus on, like on paper and with their mouths. A lot of people like to say they care about the youth and they want there to be like some growth for the youth. However, what I feel like I see happens is everybody has ideas. Everybody has ideas. They have every single thing that they want you to implement. Nobody's there to help you implement it. Like, everybody has something. They're saying, why don't you do this? Well, I can't tell you how many people have come to me since I've been youth director, and they're just like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. And when it comes to actually do it, there's nobody there that's going to be the first in line to help you. So I feel like, in general, because I see this at a lot of churches, there's not many people willing to put skin in the game because it's so easy to say what you want to see, but especially when it's something being done for the youth, you would think that, you know, there will be some skin in the game. You say, you know what, I'm gonna start this, or if I want you to do this, then here's how I'm gonna contribute. Here's the hand labor that I'm gonna put into this event or whatever. But I do think that the people that do support, although they may be small, they do support in a lot of ways. I've had people like Dr. Bozil call me and literally tell me events and give me contacts for who to call to do this or that. So their support, I just feel like it doesn't usually come from the people that you'd expect it from. And a lot of people seem to think that it comes from people with the titles, or, you know, just because you have the title, that doesn't mean that you're the one that's gonna be involved in it. Like, yes, there are people that are elected to a department. There are people that, you know, that are specific staff members, but it's not always the people with the titles that will help. And you have to be willing to accept help from anyone. Like, any person who's interested in the youth, or any person who's interested in the department that you're in, accept their help, because support is free and you should accept it no matter who it's coming from. So I think that support, it exists. You just have to look at it in the places that you wouldn't, look for it in the places that you wouldn't expect.
Thank you.
Can I
that
say
was
something?
great.
Can I say something?
Oh, you guys,
Quick,
there
very
are other
quick.
people want to ask you guys questions. There's more questions. So y'all gonna have to pick like either 1 or 2 people to answer one question and be concise. I got a message. A little birdie told me to use the word concise. You guys gotta be concise.
I'm going to be very concise.
Very concise?
Yes.
I'm putting you on a 1-minute
Okay.
timer.
All right, perfect. So I think for us, one philosophy that I guess drive the Haitians is that we go by this philosophy that where we always have to pass the baton. I can remember, Mitsuka, you can speak to that. I remember there's a period of time not too long ago that ou pas pour un jeune oser chanter l'encu de Gethsemane. And I remember when we pushed the needle for that at Gethsemane, a lot of parler, but then again, for us, we just know it's whatever. Just the other day, I was so amazed and very happy deep inside of me. It's just that, I remember the first time we agreed to do that at Gethsemane. I remember the administration at that time called me in the back. They're like, yo, Kenny, what's going on? And then literally, it just like, we had to have theological debate, like, what is going on? What is going on? So I think if we go by with this mindset that I may not be able to do everything, but so long I move the needle to, let's say, to the 10 yard, 20, then when
That's 1
another
minute.
comes by, you're going to get it.
Time's up.
That's it.
Good job, good job. The next question, we did have Ornella, but she said to skip her, so we're gonna go to Cindy.
All right, I have a question. I'm coming for Kenny. I'm joking. A little bit. So, my question to you guys, so you guys grew up in a church, so you know what your previous leaders went through, and you guys have your own journey now as leaders, right? Do you feel like the culture of your churches have shifted, whereas you feel like it's a little bit easier to be a youth in your church? Because, and this is why I say I'm coming for Kenny, because Kenny was saying, wait, let me finish my question. Kenny was saying, you know, at the time you overheard us saying, like, we're gonna leave the church, we're gonna go to this church when we get to, because at the time, we didn't really feel like our church cared for the youth. So we wanted, not that they didn't care, okay, yeah. We didn't feel like we belonged in the service.
They didn't demonstrate it.
Huh?
They didn't demonstrate it?
They did care, they just did not demonstrate in a
They
way
didn't
that you guys
demonstrate
would
that
have
they
liked.
cared, yes. So I do feel like now we're in a different, it's different, like it's evolved. We could do more, Pastor Andy, but, you know, we have evolved from what our French-speaking churches used to be. So I guess I wanted to know, like, do you think that it's become easier to be leaders now?
I feel like as a, that's you, bro. So, so in terms of leadership, has it become easy to be a leader or a youth, you mean? Or a leader itself in church? Oh, okay. So it honestly, just funny enough, I was gonna say this on my last question. I hate to say it like this, but it honestly depends on the administration of the church. I'm gonna keep it 5 stacks. You know why? Because just to go back on my previous question that Rafaela spoke, if it's easy, or do they give us the resources to work, or something similar along that lines. Whereas previously in the past, growing up, a lot of things we had to do on our own for the department because of the fact that there's certain places we know the church is not gonna give us. And every director or everybody that works in the church goes through this. everybody has to put their own personal hand in the game when sometimes the church should have. But as years going on, you know, depending on the department, you start to get more concise support where this, you're not supposed to pay for this. This is the church responsibility. We're going to pay for this. You know, stuff like that. Yeah, but honestly, it all depends on the administration of the church.
To piggyback on that, I also believe, since you say you're going to come to me, I don't think the church has evolved more, but it's just that I believe that the Haitian so-called, I have to keep saying because it's the truth. The Haitian so-called, I think we were willing to take a risk that a lot of you guys did not want to take because of the backlash. Because, like I said, there are a lot of things now I see that we are privy to it because we, you know, not we, but in a way, I will always take that example. The first group, that's sort of singing. No, I'm not. I'm just kind of...
Hearing your comeback. We need to hear the comeback.
I said, don't call me out again.
No. For example, I'm going to give this example and I'm going to pass it along. I remember...
Be concise.
On Friday nights, we used to gather here to have Bible study among us. And I remember around that time, since we understood there were division within the church, within Gethsemane, and I remember Fano said, Bob, because that's why he called me. He called me, it's like, Bob, why don't we use music as a way to kind of bridge the gap? And I remember after that, he would play a couple of songs and then everybody would gather here and then chanter, we go home. Même époque ça, yo pas tap jam kite yon moun pour chanter, but Fano te pon decision and after time, bro, if you do it, I'll back you up. Chris said he'll back you up in however way we're gonna help out. Fano te pon decision pour tête pâle. Même si te dit le descend piano, il pas tap descend piano. So from then, when Fano made that decision, and then when you, Cindy, Steve, Fabiola, and was singing here, and then Fano told you guys, stay. Otherwise, I think under normal circumstances, you guys would have said, you know what, it's Gethsemane, they're going to talk about us, so what, we're just going to get down. But I guess this is what, with us, we just don't care what they say at the end of the day. We're just going to push it. They're happy, they're not happy. It's fine. So I guess that's the difference between and you guys.
I just want to interject really quickly, Baby Lo, because I have to give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
Like Chris said, I'm going to piggyback off that heavily. It depends on your church atmosphere. Credit is due to Pastor Andy. That's just point blank, period. No, I know what you're saying. But I just want to say credit is due to Pastor Andy because we have and I'm not a Haitian. I was born in Canada, okay?
You're a Canadian Haitian?
Yeah, I'm a Canadian Haitian, okay? But I was raised in French Gethsemane and I stayed in French Gethsemane, right? And I had to go through a transformation with Christ personally, internally. But I have been here on countless occasions where I'm trying to speak and I'm scared to speak because I'm intimidated. I'm intimidated by who's in charge. I can't even get a word out because I feel like I'm about to cry. That is no longer the case. That is no longer the case. So yes, French Gethsemane has evolved. I just wanted to make that clear. Not simply because of the Haitians, but also the Haitian Americans, Haitian Canadians, Haitian...
all of it too, buddy. Let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Man, I have something to say, but, you know, the audience is first.
Being that you guys been through so much things, right, with church, all your journey, let's say for the upcoming kids that are interested in being leaders in the future, what are some advices that you can give them that would help them with their journey so that they don't have to go through, you know, what you've dealt with? Or is it that's just how the system is, that's how it's always gonna be? Or is there something that they can do to make it the journey better? You understand? So.
This is not just for youth, this is probably for youth and adults. we have too many people in church that work with emotion, not with heart. Too many people. At the same day, like, oh, m'pap di la avec un tel, et puis après ça, travail, bon Dieu, crasé. I've dealt with administration with people that did not like, but continue to go with because of the fact that it's for my church and my community. Keep it pushing. Work with heart, no emotion.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I think Chris said it earlier. It's about pride. Sorry. Kenny wanted to talk?
No, I have to give credit to Christopher. That was concise. Good job.
Sorry, Eli, let me just briefly. Dang, I forgot my thought. Yeah, pride. You have to have pride in what you're doing, right? You kind of have to be about it. You cannot just talk it. You got to be able to walk the talk. So, meaning, if I'm going to be a leader, if I'm going to complain, I'm going to stand behind my complaint. I'm going to do something about it, and that's on period.
That was also concise. I want to say, as a leader, you're going to have the staff that they give you, but don't rely on that solely. Look to your friends. I won't just say friends, but look to people who you can rely on outside of that. And people outside of other churches, which is something that I'm very big on. Everybody on this platform knows that. I'm big on trying to connect with other people from other churches, building a network, building something that's going to last outside of just us, outside of the people that's here, because I'm looking at other conferences and they have that. And I'm like, why can't Greater Conference have that for the Haitian community? Why can't we cater to our own? And as leaders, it's important that from just a small, just from your local church, don't just rely on the staff that you have, because whether they can be always reliable or not, you have to, resource outside. And I don't mean like going to other churches all the time, but your friends, adults. Believe me, there are countless adults who will, if need be, like you'll give them a call and they'll say, here's $100 for this, and what do you need? Like I remember my first youth day, one person gave me $100. Actually, your mom did. And then I was calling people for like, for the social, like, can you give me, can you bring in X, Y, and Z? And people were flooding with with the willingness to help. So like, don't be afraid to ask adults. It may be intimidating, but step outside your comfort zone. That's something else I'll also say about leadership. It forces you to step outside your comfort zone.
Want to add something?
Concise.
Yeah, one thing I would add, it's in line with what Chris said. I would say that it's not about you, like ministry. I can't tell you how, like I've had to learn that so deep, like it's not about you. You cannot take everything personal. And again, like we're humans, we have emotions, but like I can't tell you how many times I've gotten frustrated, but you literally cannot make ministry about you because it's not about you. And if you make it about you, like you've already failed. The second thing I would say is that you need to figure out a place to refill your cup, because oftentimes if you're a leader and you're giving, a lot of the times you can't refill your cup in the same area that you're like pouring it out. So I would say have an outlet of somebody that can pour into you, or some place that you're listening to the word. Be in your Bible, like literally try to fill yourself up and build yourself up on the times when you're not leading or serving, because it can be very, very draining. So just make sure that although it's not about you, take care of yourself outside of that position or that leadership role.
I'll pick you back.
One more, that's the last piggy. That's the last little piggy, and we're going to the next question.
One little piggy.
So my piece of advice, definitely I'll say as, for the future generation, definitely, stay outside of the political agenda. I know a lot of times, church folks will say, well, you're a member of Peniel. You got to be at Peniel all the time. But guess what? If you want to be a future leader, you're going to want, it's going to be important for you to have, good friends, other good leaders from other churches. And I'm so fortunate to meet, each and every single one of you guys, where, I could have stayed at Peniel and, just be Peniel. But then again, I wouldn't have this opportunity to work with every single one of you. And we've been able to support each other in so many different events. So, definitely, a plus when it comes to that. So that's just my piece of advice.
That was a nice piggy. That was good. That was good. All right. So I forgot we have some audience online, and they have a few comments. Miss Celestin said, you guys should use this as a platform to reach out to others that left the church. And she also said, to you guys that are the future of the Haitian community, Gethsemane, please don't repeat those behaviors. Change the community with all your experiences. That was it. And Core Life, we still didn't get your question. If you can type it in the chat, we'll ask the question. Next. Oh, I had a statement. All right. So my statement, this is to Kenny. And I truly believe that every generation just takes a step forward for each generation. So I really want you to kind of be kind to the generation before you, because they took a step and you're taking another step, which is great. But we love your work. We love your work. What I also want to say is that as a born and raised Getty member, one of my struggles growing up in the church, and Christopher and Jessica said it, was that the atmosphere of the church changes with every administration. And one administration you probably met us with is that us speaking English, you see us speaking English right now, as much as we don't say that language is a barrier, it was a barrier for a lot of times. So even when we wanted to have some discussions with leader and administration, they didn't take you serious if you weren't speaking French, because it's not that they didn't want to take you serious, but they didn't understand, and we didn't really understand that what they were saying. So it's great that we can have a Haitian to communicate, but it's not that you're better or we're better, but we put hands together and now we're trying to solve the solution, because we don't have the language that you have, and you don't have some skills that we don't have. So now we're putting hands in hands and we're moving forward. With that said, I don't know if the person online, but this was a great group. Who is in charge? I need to speak to the head person in charge. They can answer my questions. All right, thank you. Someone online said that as a comment, we will talk to you later. So yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. This is why we call it the present. Thank you, present leaders. Now you can take your seat. Now we're gonna get a very special group. The past and the present gives us hope for tomorrow. Let us have the future group. Members of the future group. Members of the future group leaders. Audience, I want to say good job. I love the engagement. Keep it up.
Hi, everyone. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was pulling up the questions, you feel me? Hi, everyone. My name is Ornella. Hi. I had my questions answered, and when I was coming up here, they got deleted, so that's great. So yeah, right now, I'm currently the assistant director for Pathfinders. That's like my official title. A lot of these questions were really great, and I guess I don't even remember which ones I was going to answer, but sorry. I don't remember which ones I highlighted to answer, but I guess I'll just talk about I'll piggyback off of what Christopher had said earlier about like personalities in ministry and dealing with like several different personalities, because one of the difficulties that I've faced, well, first of all, I'm the type of person that's, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. Like, I have to be very motivated and passionate about what I'm doing to get it done. I like to procrastinate a lot. I'm a disorganized person. Like, I know where all my stuff is, but if you walk into my room, you're not gonna know where anything is. And one of the things that I've had to learn, like with Pathfinders, is like, especially working with Jessica, she's very organized and like has a certain step that she does things. And I'm the type of person, like, I kind of just do things like whenever I want, kind of like I'll get to it when I get to it. And it's one of those things, like when you're working with a group, you can't, like, you have to kind of edit yourself. Not to say you have to change your entire being, but you have to do things for the benefit of the group and go outside of your comfort zone. And then another question that is on the sheet basically is, do you consider yourself a leader? And I really do not, because mostly all my peers, we're like within the same age range. And I find it very strange to like exert authority over people that are like 3 to 4 years, like we have a 3 to 4 year age difference. Like, who are you? Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, I don't like to tell people what to do. I don't like to like parler fort. So it's very strange. And that's why I like don't consider myself a leader. Like, maybe like for the Pathfinders that are like in friends, it's more of like a friends or companions or whatever. It's more of like a gap. But I kind of feel that like we're kind of in the same age range, so it's like weird for me to navigate that. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much like all I have to say. Yeah, and then also as far as like what we were talking about as support in terms of youth leaving the church, I have a different experience. I actually like personally feel very like loved by my church. Like, whenever I'm not here, people are like, where did you go? Like, why didn't I see you last Saturday? And I'm like, dang, like now I gotta explain like where I was. Like, like, why are you asking so much questions? So yeah, I kind of have like a different experience. So I always feel like I'm missed if I'm not here. I always feel like my presence is valued. So I think that's something I praise God for, because it would, as much as I struggle with like being a leader or trying to be a leader, I always feel like I do have value and people do care about me. So if I'm not here and I'm like, I was at home or I went to like a different church that day, I feel like people want me to be here. So that's always like a good thing.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Ruth Maida. I am 18 years old, and I don't really have a title. I don't really have a title at the church, but like I'm more of like a helping hand, and I help the present leaders with their ministries, basically.
That's your
ministry. Yeah, you know, and basically doing that, I've learned from Jessica and from Castley and Regine, you know, that like discipline gets you far, patience gets you far, and just knowing how to relate to other people also gets you far. To piggyback off what Ornella said, I also don't really feel like I'm a leader. Personally, I feel like I'm more of like a counselor or like somebody you can come to talk to. I don't feel like I can. I don't think the blind can lead the blind, you know. So I can't I can't really lead anybody if I don't know how to lead myself. And another question I wanted to answer was some challenges I've experienced. Well, the only challenge I've experienced so far is that I've noticed that our generation is more, we don't acquiesce to injustices, if that makes sense, you know? So like if somebody does something wrong, you know, future generations would just be like, well, I'm upset about it and I'm just gonna walk off and I'm not gonna say anything. But like, I've noticed that we have a tendency to like speak up more, which I'm not saying, you know, to be rebellious or like to talk back to your elders or anything, but like stand up for yourself. Because no offense to any adults, in here either. But some adults tend to overstep, and it's not okay to overstep. So if somebody is overstepping, it is okay to stand up for yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Agree.
Yes or no?
So I feel like that's like personality-wise, because I feel like the opposite is true of our generation. I feel like we can't take criticism. Like as soon as somebody says something about us or it's like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, I'm going to a different church. Like, it's like, come on now. Like, you know, sometimes you're going to do things that rub people the wrong way, or people might rub you the wrong way. But at the end of the day, like Mitsuka had said, like, don't take it personally. Even though sometimes people might not reprimand you in the way that you want, or they might not, like, get the message across in the kindest way. Like, it can be difficult. But I really do feel like our generation is, like, we're soft. Like, we just get so profoundly, like, upset and frustrated. So I think it's, like, about things that people say about us, and then we feel like, oh, we don't want to be in this person's presence anymore. Like, you know, so I think it's, like, personality-wise, like, some people just are very outspoken, and if you do something or say something to them that they don't like, they're like, they stand up for themselves. But then there's other young people who, like, they just don't want to deal with the confrontation, and they feel like if you've criticized them, it's like their time to get out of there and go somewhere that people are just gonna say yes to them, or like not reprimand their behavior. And the world doesn't work like that. Like, if I do something my boss doesn't like, you best believe I'm getting called into that office, and I can't just storm out and be like, I'm going to a different job because no, you gotta take it on the chin sometimes. So yeah.
I agree to a certain extent, because I just feel like, for same example you used, you know, I do something my boss doesn't like, I understand, but you're my boss, you know, I'm working for you. Yes, you're paying me, but I'm working for you. So if I have, if I have, you know, the respect to talk to you a certain way, or to, like, react to you a certain way, there's no need for you to be reacting me a certain way that isn't how I want to be reacted to, because you're just my boss. If that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to let, thanks for the conversation, guys. We're going to continue the conversation with, I guess, Rebecca, you have the mic. You can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. I actually have a question, because I see many of the questions are, like, for leaders now and leaders in the past. But you guys can also even talk about what ministry you would see yourself in, as in, you know, and what do you think leadership means, and what is a leader? All right?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca. I'm 20. Hi. Hi. I was born and raised here. I'm going to answer your question since you already asked. Wait, sorry, you got to repeat the question. I lost it.
What ministry do you see yourself getting into?
Okay, got it.
Who inspires you?
Okay. What I see myself getting into and other people see is like a director. And something else that I see myself getting into is, wow. I'm really thinking about it. I don't know. I really don't know what I see myself getting into in the future, but other people see me like as a director and leading kids, children, teenagers, because that's what I'm used to doing. Who inspires me? This church, Jessica, the leaders that I have right now, Cassie, Jessica, Regine, you know, because you guys technically right now I grew up with you guys, so I see what you do and you guys mentor us to be the way we are right now. So you guys inspire me to be better. I have a question of my own. Yes? Yes. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to piggyback on what Ruth and Arnella said, they were talking about how our generation is soft, and I agree. I had a few issues with our generation because they were just not putting the effort of making the church lit or fun or interesting, and they would just get up and leave and expect us to, like, other people to do all the work, and we're not putting in the work and effort that we should be putting in. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sika.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Cedric Michelle. My age is 19. And yes. And the ministry I'm a part of is computers. So what I've seen like throughout my ministry, before that actually I just want to say a verse. Okay. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. So the reason why I chose this verse is because, like, a lot of the ministries, right? You would think like the lesser parts of it is not as important, but it's funny how like all of them are connected in a certain way. So what I've seen is like throughout my church, as an example, I've seen like if this department is not here or it didn't do good, like in some way, form, or fashion, the whole service like gets hindered. So I touch upon that as like an advice, saying like, if you're in any type of ministry and you feel like it's lower than what you expect, don't worry about it. Like some way, somehow, you're supporting the ministry and you're supporting the service you're in. And another thing I wanted to say is a lot of the youth leaders I was with as a kid, they've impacted me right now in the present, because let's say if I was in a Bible study as a kid, you know, they made church like more fun whenever I didn't want to just sit in with the gremlins. So yeah, so a lot of the youth leaders made church more fun for me, and because of that, it's impacted me on my relationship with God in the present. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Okay, you have a question? Okay, we have a statement. Sorry, technical difficulties. Statement from Director Jessica.
Yes, I want to thank you, Sajax, for hitting on right on the nose what you do, because you're in communications. Please, audience, don't let these three ladies fool you. They're in my ministry. So, Ornella is a diaconate here at French Gethsemane, right? She's a deacon. I think one of our youngest deacons, or deaconesses. Ruth is my current secretary, and Rebecca has been my secretary. So they have had leadership roles. I don't know why we're downplaying ourselves, but they have had leadership roles, and all four of these individuals are definitely capable of upholding the future. I think the issue may be when we look at leadership, it may seem like it's a lot, but just being you is a lot. So the fact that you can be you and still have an input or a difference, in my ministry at least, that also matters. So don't be shy, you know. You guys do matter, and I'm thankful for you guys.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience for the future leaders? Okay, I got a question. Oh, wait, you guys have something to say?
I was going to make a statement.
Go ahead.
All right, girl. Okay, sorry, guys. I'm a little nervous. Just like what Steve said earlier and what you guys said earlier. Scared. Okay, so another comment I wanted to make was Prosperous Queens, only because what a coincidence. Last night I was on the phone with Ruth, and I went on, I think it was the Gethsemane page or something, and we was doing our piece, and we looked so young, and we looked so nice. I was like, I was like, wow, that was a good time. Like, if you know about Prosperous Queens, you know, we have a page. I think it's still up. No? Yep, it's on the Gethsemane page if you want to know about it. But, yeah, that's the comment.
Prosperous Queens. And we have one question from the audience.
All right, it's me again. So my question to you what would you like from the present leaders, or past leaders, from the leaders that are in your church community now? What would you like them to give you or show you? What tools or resources or support you feel like you would need in order to prepare yourself to be a better leader, better than us?
Let's see what they gotta say.
You first, me? It's just a small comment. I want you guys to kind of sort of tell us what went wrong per se, so we know what not to do. What? I rate Jessica, like, okay, you go.
Girl, speak your mind.
I know that Jessica tells us all the time, but it's like a reminder, kind of, sort of, to let us know, like, hey, remember, I kind of did this. Make sure you kind of don't do it, so you weren't in my shoes, you know?
I think what I would suggest is for the older leaders and the present leaders, I guess, to have an open mind, you know, because a lot of us are very closed-minded. So, yeah, I think that's the only thing that I ask, is to have an open mind, your perspective is not always the right perspective. So,
And we have different personalities.
yeah.
We have different personalities.
Yeah, so this is already happening, actually. I actually feel like I have genuine friendships with all of the people that are current leaders and past leaders. So it doesn't feel like there's a disconnect that, like, oh, I come to Pathfinders and I, like, only see Jessica or Castley at Pathfinders, and, like, that's it, and we, like, only work together at Pathfinders. Like, I actually feel like if I had an issue during the week, like, I could call any one of them. I feel like, I don't know, like, we hang out on a regular basis, or, like, we talk to each other on social media. So that's the thing that's currently happening that I think is good, and I feel like should continue happening, and that I want to also implement in the future, because it's like in your everyday life, like, you deal with that. Like, if you go to school, you only see your professor, like, in class, and then, like, you got to ask for a recommendation. I'm like, oh, you remember me? Like, you know? Or, like, you only see your boss, like, this how many times a week, and it feels like they're not your friend. So it's not the same, but I actually feel like the people, like, the leaders in this church, like, are my friends. I feel like I can call Mitsuka and, like, talk to her, or, like, send her a meme or something. Like, you know, I feel like I can do that, and I think that really helps with the interpersonal relationship aspect. And in that same way, like, if I'm having a struggle with ministry, I don't feel like they would, like, leave me hanging, you know?
Thank you.
Wait, I wanted to clarify my question. I get what you all are saying, but when I ask, like, not what do you guys need from us right now, but more so what do you need so that when you become leaders, you're going to be more equipped. So when I'm asking about like resources, support, I mean, like, what can we do for you so that when you are leaders, you know what to do? Now, you get it?
I get it, but I also...
Becky answered the question. Yeah. Or Nella, you got it.
I get it, but I feel like I can't, like, I feel like I can't be more specific, like, right now, but what I was saying is, like, support comes in, like, many ways, and that, yeah, like, that personal relationship, like, really helps, and I'm saying that we have it now, and I want to see it continue, and I also want to do the same thing.
Awesome. So we have open-mindedness, support, and she said something. No. Well, Becky, what did you say?
No, Ruth said open-minded.
Yeah. Oh, tell you when you're doing something wrong. Okay, and now we have. Yes, share your experiences. The last, but not the least. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what I would want from my leaders is like an advice. Like, I don't think you need to have all the knowledge in the world, but you know, generally when I see a leader, like usually it's someone older than me. So like, I would say like something that you had in your past experiences that could like help me or equip me for what I'm doing right now. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I also wanted to say that, like, yes, like I would, like Rebecca's mentioned that she wants you guys to tell her like what she's doing wrong, but also at the same time, I would also like to learn on my own. So like if I fail, like, you know, just let me fail at least once. So like, you know, I guess it can be like a learning experience for me, if that makes sense. Not that I'm looking forward to failing, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, I can't really see my peripheral vision. Sorry.
Hello? Oh, okay. I kind of, sort of, dang, I forgot.
Are you answering the same question?
I was going to piggyback on what she said, but it's all right. Go ahead, Arnella.
Oh, I was gonna
Be concise. We're on a time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So one of the questions says like how up your spiritual life, and actually like it really does, because like this Friday we actually had like situation going on that the elders are doing with like people. And like one of the things I'm very like afraid of, like it's a personal fear of mine, is to like have somebody come ask me a spiritual question and I don't know how to answer you, and then I have to sit there and be like, well, I can't answer this for them. So then I feel like I'm responsible for whatever shortcoming you had spiritually because I couldn't answer your question. So like that's why I feel like it forces you, like, you know, the Master Guide binder, which So that Master Guide binder, you know how it has like all these like 28 fundamentals and like all these questions you gotta answer. I was like, dang, like, why I gotta do this? Like, that's like 2 years of college. Like, I could have just went to Master Guide College, you know, like, why I gotta do this? But yeah, but it's important because if a Pathfinder or somebody asks you a question, you wanna be able to like, to know and answer it and then like keep doing research and stuff. So it like forces me to like do personal study, because that way I can know my own faith and then also like help somebody else, you know.
Thank you for sharing. So we do have an online audience, and I'm going to ask one of the questions that one of the online audience proposed, and it reads, did you feel like the leaders in the past left you hanging?
Yes.
Elaborate.
All right, go first.
Audience, calm down. Let them answer. We got your back. Answer. No fighting.
Yes, I do feel like they left us hanging. I haven't been here for a long time. I've only been here for 5 years, okay? And from what I've gathered, you know, from stories or whatnot, you know, there was a lot of like nonsensical reasons as to why people was like the youth, well, the present leaders were like leaving and stuff like that, which made no sense to me, because I feel like our generation also gets reprimanded a lot, but we're still here. So I don't understand what was the reason to leave and go to a different, like, and it's not like they left and found something. Well, I can't really say that because I don't know. But like they just, like, I don't understand why they left. I didn't think it was like a.
Just to piggyback, I think it's kind of sort of like we don't understand. Now, like, we're looking back and we're just hearing stories. We don't know firsthand what happened. We just don't understand everything that happened in the past. So we're going off of what we heard or what we seen, and all we seen was just people who left. So that's what we're going to go off of. It's just, we don't understand. That's just it.
And there's only like a selective of like.
Yeah, few that's.
Yeah, that stays.
Hello. Yeah.
And stuff like that. So.
To answer the question, like, I don't think hanging. I feel like I have like a completely different. Am I on the phone or something, like? Because like, I don't feel like the leaders like left us hanging. Okay, again, deux catégories. Okay, the first one is what you would consider the old Haitians. Okay. And then there's like the people that, like, for example, I work directly under right now, okay? So I don't consider you old, Cassie. So you're gonna be in this category right here, okay? So like Jessica and Cassie and Steve and Cindy, like people like that. If we're talking about like, there's a part of administration that I feel like is so high up there that I don't understand, kind of like the comité type situation, you know, like the elders, and like I kind of feel like they're all the way over here, and I kind of don't know how things function. It's like the secret club, and I like can't, you know. So I can't like relate to them the same way that I would relate to like Steve or like Valerie or people like that. I don't feel that you guys left me hanging, but then I didn't ever really have a role like with the ancienat or like stuff like that where I felt like they left me hanging. So to answer that question, like I feel like I honestly feel like the leaders, the present leaders and even the past leaders, even if the past leaders, like for example, I never had a close relationship with Lapierre, but Lapierre taught Cassie, and like he lives through Cassie, and then Cassie like is gonna teach Jessica, and then Jessica teaches me. So in that way, like even if I never knew the past people, like even if they're like currently not here, like for the people who moved out of state or whatever, they still left something behind, and that way they didn't. I don't feel like they left me hanging, you know.
I agree with Arnella. And
Cassie,
listen,
control
I agree.
yourself.
Like in a sense, listen, like as far as like having things to do at church, being involved and stuff like that, I don't feel like we're missing out on anything, because there's everything other churches has. We have Pathfinders, we have camp, we have, like, we're involved, we have activities to keep the kids engaged and stuff like that. But when I say like I felt left out, I feel like you guys left us hanging. I mean like as like support wise, like we would have way much more support if we
Cassie, we'll give you the mic when she's done. She's not done. Continue, Ruth Maida. She is done. Okay, Cassie, it's your turn.
Well, I should mention earlier, she wanna learn from her mistakes. So sometimes as leader, we have to let you make your mistakes so you can learn from it. So we didn't left you hanging. We're always here. And I will be always here, as long as I'm breathing.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Don't be shy. Steve, I saw your hand. Okay. Okay, comment.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I kind of stepped out, so I think I missed a lot of the conversation. But I walked in, and the question is about whether you felt left hanging. Is that the question? Yeah, did the older leaders leave you hanging? Yeah, I would say yes. Question for them, right? And they answered it. All right, so I guess this is my comment. I would say I left you guys hanging. the last time I remember really being active and really doing things with the youth was January 2020, right? Yeah, so ever since January 2020, it just got real busy, and then Corona happened, and then so many different things happened. And I look at Gethsemane now, and although there are activities for some youth to participate in, I don't feel like there's a space for the youth where there used to be, you know? I don't see that there's a Sabbath school. I don't see that there's a Bible study, or I don't see that there are any youth gatherings. You guys have your friends in your pockets, and you make do, and I think God has blessed you in that you still kind of have people that help you. You know what I mean? You've had Jessica, and I feel like Jessica really took on all the youth, especially during COVID, right? Like Jessica had those Zoom worships every Saturday that she was hosting, right? Jessica jumped on the ball, and I think Jessica picked up a lot of the balls that everyone else dropped, right? So I think past and kind of present leadership did leave you hanging, but I think God used Jessica as a ram in the thicket to help support you guys in your development, right? So that's my comment.
Thank you. I think all right, I have one last comment. Okay. Did you have another question, though? Okay, Cassie says he's never left you guys hanging. And one thing I do want to add is that as a past leader or present leader, I don't know what I am, and a future leader, I guess I'm all three, I do want to add that some things that you say you don't understand, and the older we are and the bigger the age gap is going to be harder to understand because we're going through different life experiences. So as I'm getting older in the church, I'm not as free as I was when I was younger. And now that I'm in a career, I'm married, the responsibilities keep adding up. You have a child, you have this and the third, and as much as we were here, and as much as we were available when we were younger, we're not gonna be as available the older you get, and it's gonna go the same for you. The time you had when you were younger, it constantly has to be divided because you're entering different areas that you never had. So I don't think the youth or the past leaders and older leaders are not trying to be here, but responsibility starts to be split and divided the older you get and the more areas of life you enter. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, present. Fresh future. You're the last question.
It's not really a question. I'm just going with what Vava said. Like me, I'm what belong in the past, but I'm still in the present, and I'll be in the future. Once God, if I'm alive still. But I can't be involved the way that I used to be, like Vava said, because I've been busy. Other stuff you got this is a journey, right? You're starting low, and you're going the next, and you get more busy. But that doesn't mean that if you need me, that I'm not gonna be there for you. Like Casti said, l'âge a monté. So you're gonna reach there too, at some point. When it's gonna be your turn to be the leader, and you will find yourself, oh, I'm working, I'm doing this, I don't have time to do this one. You have to be willing to do that sacrifice, all right? Not like, I can't leave you down, guys, and now I won't do it, all right? Love you all still.
All right, yeah, so thank you for the future group. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Give them a round of applause. Hope for tomorrow. Okay, so thank you past, present, and future. We're trending to the end of our program. We want to give a round of applause to the Pathfinder leader for initiating and having this program. And we're going to have closing remarks with past leader and present leader, Castley, and he'll do the closing prayer as well.
Lord of mercy. Well, one thing for sure, I never let you hang in. Because I believe the last time I was part of all the activities, that was a couple of weeks ago. Yes. But one thing I want you to know, be a leader. Keep in mind, you have to train others to become a leader like you, because you don't just lead, and you want to be the only the leader, but you want to train for someone as well to take over. And honestly, I'm glad and so happy to say that Jessica take over really good, because Jessica was my student in Master Guide. Jessica was my Pathfinder assistant director. So to be honest with you, she really, so I'm glad the fact that Jessica showed me I did a great job, and I know for sure she's doing a wonderful job as well. So basically, another thing I want you to know, be a leader, you have to learn how to be humble. Humble will take you far. Because don't think that, okay, you as a leader, you know everything. And Regine can tell you that you as a leader don't know everything, because you're learning from everybody. And I learned from a lot. And to be honest with you, a lot of time we thought that, okay, yes, I got that, you te supporte mon pile. And I'm truly believe en pile fois les au parti de nous, c'est pas remé nous, non? It's just like, okay, they want you to stay on the right track all the time. So keep in mind, that's the main thing. And like Vava mentioned, I'm the past, the present, and hopefully the future. So guys, if you ever need support, if you ever need advice, feel free to dial the 646-911. All right? So I'm real available all the time, anytime, 24/7 as most of the time. So I'll do my best to, what happened? 646-911. So I'll be available all the time for you. And feel free to ask me any advice. Feel free to ask any the past directors, past leaders. Feel free to ask them any advice. Never be afraid to ask advice, guys, because as a leader, you always need advice and support. And prayer will take you far. As a leader, you need to pray. On that note. So we're going to stand up, and then we're going to close program with a word of prayer. Bow your head, close your eyes. Dans le Père Céleste, par exemple, nous te disons merci, Seigneur. Merci pour amour, merci pour votre. Merci, Seigneur, de faire côté toujours là ensemble avec nous. Merci où tu es tracé exemple comme étant leader par excellence, comment pour nous être capable de leader d'autres. Et ainsi, nous toujours là pour nous capable de suivre, Seigneur, comme exemple. Seigneur, nous toujours là pour nous capable de suivre ou même qui pour là pour guider nous comme étant leader et par excellence, Seigneur. Nous demandons tant prie, inspirez-nous, versez ton Saint-Esprit en nous-mêmes. Permettre que tout ça n'a pas fait pour ta gloire et pour ton honneur, Seigneur. Nous pas bon, nous pas dit, mais nous prions au nom de Jésus qui vit siècle. Amen.